Well, hello fellow YouTubers. My name is Larry and welcome to my YouTube channel. Today what I'm going to be doing is kind of walking you through the process of we're going to be doing what is called a fireplace mantle installation. We're actually going to be taking a homemade sawmill, or we may take one of our commercial made sawmills and take a piece of black walnut log and actually cut this into a fireplace mantle that we're going to be using in our home. The actual fireplace has been pretty much set in place. We just need to get the mantle finished out and we're going to install it. But I'm going to show you what process we're going to go through to try to get this thing hung up on the wall. Now, the framers that put this in kind of did a rough end on it. So it's not very accurate. So we're having to make some modifications, and I'm going to walk you through the steps that we're going to go through to try to achieve this goal. We're no professional installers by any source of fashion, but we're going to show you how we're doing it. So stay tuned and let's get this rolling. Our next step is to finish taking the bark off the live edge side of this piece of black walnut, and then I'm going to show you how I polish that up to make it really pop a little bit. Okay guys, now what we're going to do is we're going to take our Makita angle grinder with a nutty, I didn't say nutty, a knotty wheel wire brush on the end of it. That sounds better, right? Okay, that's what we're going to use. Anyhow, we're going to run this along the edges of the actual live edge to clean some of that loose stuff off. And always keep in mind you should wear safety gear, eye protection, hearing protection, unless you like me, of course, so that you ain't got any hearing anymore. And even then, you probably should wear it. But, you know, practice safety. Angle grinder doesn't have a guard on it, but I took it off because the wire brush will not fit inside it. So gloves would be recommended. I'm not going to use any, but again, everybody's different. I will put the glasses on. All right, let's see what happens here. I usually take this thing and run it kind of in a direction like that right there. Let me get the camera down where you can actually see it a little bit better. There we go. Oh, first thing you got to do is plug it in. I'm very well prepared, right? Yes, sir. We'll get there. That's what you call getting old. You forget things. Yeah, I'll spare you the boredom of doing the whole board, but as you can see there, what we was trying to achieve is get most of that live stuff off of there, so that you can go in there and sand it, or you can use another knotty wire brush on the end of an angle grinder that'll make it smoother. Now me, I'm just going to take a DA sander and polish it out. I want some rough edges in that wood. I want it to look really rustic and old. Got some wormholes in there and stuff like that, which looks fascinating, so we're going to try to keep that. We're just going to try to blend it together, make it look a little bit smoother, but still keep that old rough look. Now let's continue. This is the mantle, and it is unfinished, but we took the sawmill and we cut the black walnut log down to give us a 12-inch wide diameter, or 12-inch wide fireplace mantle, with a rustic live edge across the front. And we shot the back of it, or cut the back of it flush. so it's set up against the wall. That's the mantle. Next step is we're going to go out there and we're going to start drilling the holes in the wall and setting this up there. Before we actually finish it, we want to make sure it's setting in place, easy to install, and then we can go ahead and finish the stain or whatever we're going to do on the outside of it to get those grain patterns to start popping. And, really turn this piece of wood into a very, very nice fireplace mantle. Got a lot of like bug marks and stuff in front. Gives it that old rustic looking characteristic. So let's keep going. Well, we're at the section where we got to get our bolts mounted for the actual mantle itself. And of course I didn't have anything out here in the shop, so town is a little ways off. Takes about an hour and 20 minutes to get there, an hour and 20 minutes to get back, so I decided to make my own. What I did was I took some of these, I believe they're 10 inches long, 1/2 inch lag bolts, lag screws, and I cut them right there like you see on that one. And I added me 4.5 inches of old round stock in the middle of it. And I made me a little table here to set this stuff in so I can line it up. And this is going to go into the mantle itself. We're just going to mount these in the wall in the structure and then slide the mantle over the top of them. We'll screw them into the wall and then cut the heads off. That way the mantle can slide right over the top of it. But yeah, this is a make-do situation, so we just made our own extended 1/2 inch long bolts that we'll screw into the wall, which is 5 of them. And I believe that'll be sufficient to hold that mantle in place. This part of the video might be a little dark. I went into the house and I took a straight 2x4, or one of the straightest 2x4s that I could find, and I went in and I'll show you what I did actually a little bit later on. But I took that 2x4 and run it across the face of the fireplace, above the fireplace where the mantle is going to be mounted, and I scribed a mark on the 2x4 you see in 5 different locations. I guess you'd call it like a little jig that I'm going to use to transfer over to the actual mantle itself, to try to get the hose in the correct position or as close as possible so that I can slide this mantle over the actual rods that I showed you earlier that I was making. And hopefully it all turns out well and we get these close enough location to where that the mantle will slide in place with not a lot of effort. So let's keep going. Okay, now we're inside the house, and as you see here, I've got the lag screws put into the wall. There's the fireplace. Still got some cosmetic work to do, and get the tile or the stone, whatever we're going to put on it around that. You see, I cut these off, screwed them in first, and then cut the heads off. Then I kind of sanded them down. That is 1/2 inch diameter. And I tried to drill the whole 1/2 inch in the mantle to slide it on there, and it was a really, really snug fit. So I actually went in with a 9/16 inch bit to give it a little working room, and then the mantle stood right in place. So that's what it looks like on the inside. Now we're getting closer to actually installing the mantle. There's going to be a little background noise because the TV's on the other side of this area where we're actually putting the fireplace mantle. Now it's going to be hard to see, but you can see where I came in from the other side, and I put those rods that I made out of the lag bolts and the extensions of the 1/2 inch metal on it. Right here and right here. There's one behind this, and then there's another one here and another one here. I ran all the way through the 2x4s. And this one here didn't come out where I wanted it to. It's kind of split it in the middle, but it holds plenty well. Now that one there did go right through what we was aiming for, and this one went right through where we was aiming for. The mantle actually weighs about 67 pounds, so it's pretty sturdy. I did push it on there and test fit it. But this is the back side. We was lucky to have room back here in the back to work because we're installing this fireplace at the same time. We're gonna have to get in there and cramp up and work on the area where we're going to put the TV mount or reinforce that next. Well, as you can see, I got the old 1/2 inch drill out. Got us a big extended bit, little 1/2 inch diameter bit there. Would have preferred to have a regular wood drilling bit, but that's all we had out here on the old farm. Like I said, I took the 2x4 and made me a jig. I copied the bolts that I have already embedded in the wall, which I'll get you a shot of that in a minute. And then I transferred from this right here, this 2x4, over to the actual back of the mantle. And I laid out the hose and I drilled them in there, so hopefully I'll get ready to install this on the wall. It's going to match up pretty close. Now I did take this is the 1/2 inch rod that I welded in between the actual lag bolts. Now that's going to be the diameter that we're going to be putting into the wood. See, it goes right in there. Now, I did also create me a little bit of angle up on this end to compensate for the weight of the mantle itself. So if the mantle in reality needs to be flush, I tilted the back of the rod up a little bit like that, so when it goes in, the weight of the mantle may pull down and make it even. These rods that are sticking in the mantle will be in there about 8.5 inches and 4.5 to 5 inches through the wall. And like I said, we'll get a shot of that here shortly. This portion of the video, what I'm doing is I am going to start staining the mantle. And what you see now, after sanded, I put on some, actually, Minwax wood finish penetrating stain. It is actually a mahogany. Let me get you a shot of the can. Here we go. Minwax Red Mahogany 225. Now I just brushed it on there with that old brush you see right there. And I'm going to let that sit on there for a short period of time. And then I'm going to take a rag and wipe it off and see what it looks like. Now keep in mind, this is black walnut. So that old black walnut is going to be really pretty cool to see what it's going to turn out and what it's going to look like. Now that is a shot of it after it is wiped off with one coat. We're going to do, and that is the bottom side. Now the bottom side, you can tell where the splitting is, was the heart of the wood. Let me get down here on the end of it. You see this section right here? That is actually the heart of the wood, or the heart of the log. And this is the outer section. This, of course, is the far outside of the bark itself. All I'm doing is just lathering that thing up, you know. Just letting it sit on top. Just go back in there and wipe it down and get all the residual stuff off of it. Okay, now we're giving you a shot of the front, the live edge, the old wormy section of it, of the bark edge. Piece that's going to be showing to everybody that comes and visits us here at the house. Like I said, this is black walnut. I'd really like to want a little lighter, but the missus says she wants it dark, so that's a little red mahogany on black walnut. Well, let's paint the top now. I know the lighting's not very good, but there's what it looks like after we got the last wipe down done on it.